It happened in the crowded school hallway. Jamal, quiet, poor, and passionate about music, carried his old, hand-me-down violin like it was treasure. Then came Derek, the rich kid with a perfect life and a cruel grin. "What's that? Trash?" he sneered, snatching Jamal's violin and smashing against the lockers. The hallway went silent. Jamal just stared, no tears, no anger, just silence. The teacher saw, but said nothing. Derek laughed, walking away like nothing happened. That night, Jamal's mom found him gluing the pieces back together, whispering, "They can break your instrument, but not your gift." A week later, the school got an announcement. Jamal had been chosen for a special youth performance at Carnegie Hall. When the day came, Derek's parents, wealthy donors, sat proudly in the front row until Jamal walked on stage. Their son's laughter turned to shock. The boy they mocked stood under the spotlight, violin in hand, restored, shining and powerful. His music filled the hall, every note carrying the weight of everything they said he couldn't be. When he finished, the crowd erupted. Jamal bowed, eyes glistening. "This one," he said softly, "is for the ones who were told they'd never matter. They can laugh at your pain until your success silences them." After that night, Jamal's life changed. His performance went viral. Millions watched the boy who turned pain into power. But not everyone was happy. At school, Derek avoided him, humiliated, but his father, Mr. Hawthorne, the school board chairman, called it a fluke. He sneered on TV, saying, "One lucky night doesn't make a musician." Jamal heard every word. Instead of arguing, he practiced harder. Months later, the city held its annual youth music competition. Guess who was sponsoring it? Mr. Hawthorne. The judges? Handpicked by him. Everyone whispered Jamal didn't stand a chance. But when he stepped on that stage, he didn't just play. He told his story through sound. The room went still, tears in people's eyes. When the last note fell, the crowd rose in thunderous applause. The judges, even Hawthorne's own friends, couldn't deny what they felt. Jamal won, as the trophy was handed to him. He turned to the man who once dismissed him and said, "Talent doesn't ask for permission. They can block your path, but they can't stop your purpose." Years passed. Jamal was no longer the boy with a broken violin. He was a world-renowned musician, traveling the globe, inspiring thousands. But one evening backstage at a charity concert in New York, a janitor approached him quietly. Jamal turned and froze. It was Derek, the same boy who once shattered his violin, now stood in a faded uniform, eyes full of shame. "I saw your name on the program," Derek said, voice trembling. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." For a long moment, Jamal said nothing. Then he smiled gently and handed Derek a backstage pass. "Come listen," he said. That night, as the lights dimmed and Jamal began to play, Derek stood in the wings, tears running down his face. The same music he once destroyed now filled the hall with grace and forgiveness. After the show, Jamal found him again. "You taught me something," he said softly. "Hate breaks things, but love rebuilds them stronger. Real victory isn't proving them wrong. It's rising so high, they have no choice but to see your light." Months later, Jamal announced a surprise project. He was opening a free music academy for underprivileged kids, right in his old neighborhood. The same halls where he was bullied would now echo with instruments, laughter, and dreams. Reporters flooded in for the grand opening, and in the front row sat Derek, this time not as a guest, but as a volunteer music teacher. Jamal had offered him the chance to rebuild, just like he had. When the cameras turned on, Derek spoke nervously. "I destroyed his violin once, but he rebuilt me." The crowd went silent, moved by his honesty. Jamal stepped forward, placing his old, repaired violin in a glass case at the entrance. "This," he said, "is a reminder that broken things can still create beauty." The children cheered, their eyes filled with hope. As the ribbon was cut, Jamal looked around. The same place that once brought him pain was now a sanctuary of second chances. Derek wiped a tear, watching the boy he once mocked become a man who gave him purpose. When you heal, don't just rise. Reach back and lift others too. 10 years later, The Jamal Carter Music Academy had become a national symbol of hope. Kids from every background came to learn, to dream, to heal through sound. That night, a grand gala was held to celebrate his anniversary, and Jamal was being honored with the Spirit of Humanity Award. The crowd sparkled with celebrities, politicians, and cameras flashing everywhere. But when Jamal stepped up to speak, he didn't talk about fame or fortune. He talked about forgiveness. This academy was built, he said, not on talent alone, but on grace. Because once upon a time, someone broke my violin, and instead of hatred, I chose harmony. Then he gestured toward the side of the stage, where Derek walked out, now clean-cut, confident, and leading a youth orchestra from the academy. The crowd gasped as the lights dimmed, and the children began to play Jamal's original piece titled The Broken String. Each note told their story: pain, struggle, redemption. When the final chord faded, the audience rose to their feet, many in tears. Derek turned to Jamal, voice shaking. "You gave me back my life." Jamal smiled. "You gave me closure." They hugged. Two men once divided by cruelty, now bound by compassion. True greatness isn't rising above others. It's turning your scars into someone else's hope. 20 years later, the lights at Carnegie Hall gleam brighter than ever. Tonight wasn't just another concert. It was the 20th anniversary of Jamal's first performance there. The stage was filled with hundreds of children from his academy, violins in hand, hearts full of dreams. The crowd was packed, world leaders, icons, and families whose lives his music had touched. But in the front row sat someone no one expected, Jamal's mother, older now, tears glistening as she held the same broken violin he once glued together as a boy. When the lights dimmed, Jamal walked on the stage, gray at his temples, still humble, still grateful. He took the violin from his mother's hands and held it up high. The crowd went silent. "This," he said softly, "was once shattered by hate, but it made me who I am. Because sometimes the breaking is what makes the music real." Then he began to play. Each note carried the story of his journey. Every insult, every tear, every victory. The sound filled the hall like a prayer. Derek, now co-director of the academy, watched from backstage, pride and redemption in his eyes. As Jamal played his final note, the entire hall stood in thunderous applause. Cameras flashed, but Jamal wasn't looking at the crowd. He was looking upward, whispering, "We made it, Mama." His mother smiled through her tears, whispering back, "You didn't just make it, you changed the world." When the world tries to silence you, let your broken pieces become your symphony. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that matter. And let's keep the conversation going.